show itself was dedicated to a woman that lost her life in a flood in Atrani 10 years ago. This event that might be sad itself on its own, but he wanted to keep her memory with something that brings, arts and magic to this world, and not remind you of something sad, but rather than that, to remind you of how much you can achieve and how beautiful life can be.
It's so nice to actually transform that in such a positive way. It's really, really beautiful. I've also heard that he was actually connecting synchronized swimming with mermaids. What was the synchronized swimmers? What was the part of the mermaids?
There is the dragon and there are the nymphs. So nymphs were the synchronized swimmers, and they were dancing before the mermaid show. So the dragon started from the main part of the city with fire artists and with people leading the dragon, which was 20 meters long,
Wow.
along with a band with drums, which was like really amazing. The lighting was red and you could sense this fire atmosphere and magic in the air. And then once the dragon reached to the sea, there came the nymphs that swam and represented the nymphs, along with the dragon that started to connecting. The dragon came to inside the water, and once the nymphs and the dragon met, that's when Hannah started her show for 2 minutes as the first mermaid that was ever created. And then we followed the 20 mermaids from all over the world, dancing with Hannah and performing along with the nymphs and the dragon in the water, while fireworks were bursting all over the place and creating this Disney castle experience.
I mean, it was at night, right? I'm always a little bit scared of getting into the water at night, but I guess with all the fanfare and all the other stuff, that was probably the least of your concerns.
Yeah, to be honest, it was crazy the moment before the show that 20 mermaids were sitting in a dock and discussing in the dark because we were like away from the lights where the part of the show was being held. So we were discussing like, it's gonna be cold, but we are all in this together, we're gonna make it, it's gonna be so fun. And we really experienced a mermaid experience. It was like real. We were real mermaids, spying on humans, waiting for Hannah to finish her show behind the little boats in the dock. It was really amazing. There were 1,500 people watching this show from balconies, from the street, because Atrani is actually built on a cliff, and they could see in the sea that was lit by the lights. And at the end of the show, we were at the seashore. We came there, and one of the mermaids actually performed with an harp, and she sang. And that's when we met her in the seashore, and we were just staring at her. And there were kids close to the sand. And these kids, it was the first time, because I have taught kids all my life, and I know how, they scream all the time and they're excited and they cannot relax and stop for a second. But these kids were so mesmerized by what they were seeing. They were seeing actual mermaids coming out of the water. They were like, everyone was shocked. I mean, it was an amazing event, a one-of-a-kind event. Even Hannah herself mentioned that this is something I have never done before in the whole world, in my whole life, being a mermaid, being a professional mermaid. It was one-of-a-kind, and I hope we can do it again next year, or we can even bring it in Greece and do something similar.
What would you say was the funniest, worst, and best experience that you had in these 3 days?
The worst time, to be honest, was when one of our fellow mermaids injured herself in a staircase by accident, and she tripped and fell, so she couldn't join the show. But the team was there for her, and we were all very sad, and we wanted to support her. What about if this was me? We all came there for 2 days to do just that, and it was such a bad luck. But I guess even her, without participating, she gained all this experience and all this vibe, and turned out to be a great experience anyway, after all. The best experience, I think, was that moment that we were waiting behind the boats. Some of us were hanging from the boat, some of us were in the water, like, shut up, we have to see when Hannah finishes, we have to go out. And we were like spying on humans. That was the best moment for me, along with the moment that we were laying floating in the sea at night, and we could see like the fireworks going off. That was the best moment. I think the funniest moment was the goodbye party that we had in the end, because we were all dancing and we didn't want this to end. We were also sad that it was like our last night there. And our driver, a very kind man, came and he started dancing with Hannah, trying to get her to leave with us. The whole organization and production team were amazing. KoraKora and the people working for them, everyone was amazing.